All right, guys, what's up? Welcome back. Let's take a look at Battlefield 6 because Call of Duty is getting shat on. Call of Duty is getting utterly destroyed by Battlefield 6. And so first off, I want to show you guys a picture of the Steam count right here. The Steam numbers, the Steam numbers don't lie. Don't matter if it's Monday, Tuesday, whatever day you want to pick. Obviously, they're a little inflated in the picture here because it was a beta, and obviously it's a new game versus like Season 5 in an existing game. And then the other thing I'll say is that it's a little skewed as well because the viewers can get a code for watching. So you're going to have way more people watching than, like on day one. But once they have a code, a lot of people are going to hop off and not watch as much. So that hopefully should explain at least a little bit of it. But at the same time, you can see the discrepancy. It's not a small number, right? There's a lot of people who are interested in Battlefield 6, and with good reason too, because it feels like this game is a polished game, at least. It's obviously it's still a beta. There's still things to be worked on and stuff like that. Of course, we're not going to say it's a complete finished game. It probably does still need some time in the oven, admittedly. But let's not come out here and act like Battlefield, EA does. Let's not act like they drop something every day and, this is just another run-of-the-mill game. It seems like they took in their time. They are listening more to the community, to fan feedback from, criticism from Battlefield 2042. And I think that's something that goes a long way, especially for the Call of Duty community, right? Call of Duty community players, the community itself, like they're not really used to, a developer kind of listening and being like, oh, hey, you didn't like that map? Like, okay, we're not gonna make more. Oh, you didn't like that perk? Like, let's not bring that back. They don't really do that. They do that here and there, of course, but yeah, they don't really do that. They're much more on the side of like, we're going to do our thing. And if you don't like it, like you can leave. And I think part of their attitude is from this tweet here. You guys have probably seen this by now, but it's from Tom Henderson. And he says that, Activision executives, Activision developers, whatever, they think that they are too big to fail. A lot of companies, in the past with a little bit too much confidence, they thought that they were too big to fail. Blockbuster, to name a few, Sears. There's some companies out there that, you probably thought were like household names. They were legendary. They were just, in your face no matter where you looked. And then they got shat on just the same as Call of Duty hopefully will be too. I think at the end of the day, any company, any person that is a little like too proud, a little too overconfident, something tells me that, something will bite them in the butt at some point. It might not be right away. It might not be like today, tomorrow, but over the course of the time, Call of Duty is kind of alienating its fan base as we speak. Not many of the OG players, first off, are playing. So you have a bunch of new gen players. And then the problem with that is that not a lot of them are loyal. Not a lot of them are going to stick around year after year. As soon as you go away from goofy skins, or as soon as you go to a game that maybe you ruin Warzone a little bit, because, they definitely are ruining Warzone. Let's be honest here. Once that happens, all these new gen COD fans, they're not even COD fans. They're just COD players. They're going to go to Fortnite. They're going to go to Battlefield 6. They're going to go to these other games. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing here. A lot of casual gamers are switching over to Battlefield 6. First off, because it's a free beta. It feels grounded. It feels modern in terms of like, we don't want to see Beavis and Butthead. We don't want to see Nicki Minaj. We don't want to see these weird anime cat operator skins, that there's a time and place for that in certain games and certain situations, but we don't need that every time we boot into a Call of Duty game. I don't need Call of Duty to be super realistic and every soldier looks like they're from, I don't know, some part of history or something like that. It doesn't have to be like a World War II shooter and emulate that every single year, every single time. We don't necessarily need that, but we can't stray so far that we're getting like cartoon characters and cell shaded BS in here. This is the kind of thing that makes Call of Duty feel like it's getting shat on right now, because because Battlefield 6 is bodying the hell out of it. A lot of people are, come out here and say like, oh, they say this all the time, X Defiant, Splitgate 2 and Fortnite, all these other games were supposed to body Call of Duty, and Call of Duty is just too big to fail. Honestly, this might ruffle some feathers. There might be some credence. There might be some truth to the fact that Call of Duty and Activision is too big to fail. They are currently. That does not mean they will be like this forever. And I think even if Battlefield 6 doesn't necessarily like utterly destroy and gut punch, Call of Duty to the face. At least at the very, very least, they're going to have some competition and they're going to have to realize like, hey, there is something I have to do out here. I can't just willy nilly throw some maps together, remaster some maps and throw in a cat bundle and call it a day. No, it kind of is like a free infinite money glitch to a degree again right now, but that won't last forever. Sometimes I think about like YouTubers. And so like some of them, like back in the day, they were so big, millions and millions of subs. You thought that they would never go down, either one controversy happens or they just like lost the will to keep uploading and then boom, you never hear them again. But, at one point they were on top of the world. And so again, gaming companies, YouTubers, people, just your attitude has to be continuously grinding. You can't just feel like you're good just because you think you're good. Someone will come along and take that crown from you. And, whether it happens today or tomorrow, it's going to happen at some point. And I think Activision needs to see this. That's why they can't get away with these rehashes every year. I think that they should take note, excuse me, I think they should take note of the Battlefield Steam numbers because, well, let's face it, your Steam numbers are not looking impressive. If you look on any Treyarch tweet, any Call of Duty tweet in the past like week or so, everybody is just saying, hey, I'm on Battlefield, or hey, fix this, or hey, your game sucks. They're saying negative stuff. They're not encouraging. They don't care about like the goodwill of Call of Duty. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on the way you want to look at it, is pretty shot. Nobody really cares about Call of Duty at the end of the day nowadays. They're not in it for, I hope I, get a good gameplay. I hope I can, hit this certain rank in league play or whatever. Many people don't care. The casual fan base does not care about Call of Duty anymore. And this is proof. You overload your game with microtransactions. You don't take care of your core community. Even if it's so small, you don't take care of them. Guess what happens? People move on. You only have so loyal of a fan base. It's kind of like if I started uploading like, I don't know, like cooking videos or something, like, I don't know. Yeah, I might get like some views, but people didn't come here for cooking videos. They came here for gameplay. They came here to laugh, to learn, things like that. They're not getting that if, Activision is making like a game that's not Call of Duty anymore. And that's kind of what they're going for. Anyway, let's get back to Battlefield 6 real quick. I think that the competition is a good thing. We need competition, especially in the COD franchise. Another thing, though, unfortunately, cheaters are confirmed in Battlefield 6. There's a tweet from It's Hoppa, pretty big Twitter guy out here on the social medias, and he basically put out a quick video about people cheating. Cheating is always going to be in games. It really, really sucks. It's a huge bite in the ass that we're cheating in a beta. This is supposed to be where we decide if we want to play the game or not, and you're not helping. And I just don't get it too, because it's like, what do you necessarily get? Even if you're streaming and no one catches on, like, do people really come to you for your gameplay here in 2025? Like, unless you're grandfathered in like freaking Swag or Scump or something like that, like, do people really care about gameplay? Do you care about any of these new gameplay channels going like 85-2? Does anybody watch these? I don't know. Maybe I'm being too harsh here. Maybe it's different in Battlefield. There's like a less niche of that or something. I don't know. Maybe, let me know, I guess, in the comment section. But yeah, man, I think that the cheating situation, I'm not surprised. I am a little surprised that's happening in a beta. But I don't know. The whole secure boot thing, I don't know if you guys heard about it or not from EA Dice or whatever. They're trying to like guarantee that people don't cheat, and they're trying to guarantee that you are playing legit essentially. It's supposed to like download in something else on your computer, so that anytime you boot up your computer and it has something that EA or Call of Duty, whatever, they're not okay with, it's supposed to flag it. And I don't know. Somehow this made it through the cracks. I guess that's not encouraging. But yeah, I want to hear what you guys have to say about it right now. Are you guys messing with Battlefield 6? Do you find it fun? Is it entertaining enough? Is it enjoyable? I know it's just a beta. There's only a few maps and stuff like that. But of the time you've played on it, are you enjoying it? Do you think it's actually a COD killer, or do you think, could use some work? It needs a little time to cool off in the oven, before we take it out. That's pretty much all the time I got for this video, so hopefully you enjoyed. If you're still here and you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. You know, not many of you guys stay this late and leave likes. And if you're brand new to the channel, I'd appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel. Okay, I'd really appreciate that. We are slowly growing, you know, still around 10K, but I am moving, and hopefully, you know, once I finish my move, I'll be a lot more consistent with the videos. I do want to get you guys gameplay. It's been tough to even get gameplay. A lot of the stuff you see is weeks old. Sometimes I'll get like some new stuff, but for the most part, yeah, it's usually pretty old gameplay, and I don't love that. I'm not, you know, the most comfortable with that. I definitely prefer to have some fresher gameplay from time to time. But yeah, leave a like if you're still here, subscribe if you're new, and let me know, what would you rate Battlefield 6 out of 10 so far, just on the beta alone? Let me know in the comment section. I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.